Kali Reis is redefining what it means to be an athlete activist. She is the first Indigenous boxing world champion, the first woman to be on a televised HBO fight card. She's a truth seeker speaking about Indigenous issues. And she's asking the hard questions with the intention of finding the truth. This is In Conversation with Kali Meuquinonoag Reis. Okay, so let's just start with your name. Meuquinonoag means many feathers, many talents. Could your parents have come up with a better name? I mean, you're so talented in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you to Butney so much for having me today. And yeah, my mom kind of landed, on the nose with that one. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know when I was a kid when I received the name. But I knew, but I didn't know I knew. So it's I'm just discovering all these gifts, and it's amazing to be able to share it with people.
You've described your relationship with boxing as both your ceremony and your prayer, which I think is one of the most beautiful descriptions I've ever heard. Why do you describe it that way?
The history of our tribe and, being from the East Coast and the first contact tribes, I just learned where I was from. And I kind of, again, knew that I didn't know, but I knew that I had a warrior spirit. I mean, we all have medicine. We all have good medicine. We all have talents. We all have things that we're really passionate about. And I was really passionate about mastering this very hard thing. And the feeling it gave me when I was doing this was pride. I felt like I was a part of something. I wasn't just a girl, half native, half Cape Verdean girl in the gym. I was a fighter in the gym. Didn't matter gender-wise, race-wise, I was a fighter. And it gave me the same type of feeling I got when I do ceremony, when I learn more about my people, when I go to powwows, when I hear the powwow drum at night, like when I dance, it just gives me that feeling. So it wasn't something that, when I first started, like I'm gonna have every punch is a prayer. It's kind of something that found me midway into my career, when it was just, big on purpose. I have a purpose. What is my purpose as a human being, as an Indigenous woman? Now I'm representing so many different categories of people. What can I do? All right, I'm so proud. How can I bring my people incorporated? We're such an underrepresented, as you said, people, and it just kind of turned into that, and it kind of just spiraled into how I get so much pride in that when I have my, dancers or singers, drummers from wherever land I'm on come out and, represent and honor their land, their people, our people collectively. And it just turned into something that I have a way bigger purpose outside of myself.
I mean, brilliant answer. I could go a million ways. You have said, as Indigenous boxers are tremendously underrepresented, it's your duty to use your voice. Sometimes when you think of duty, that's responsibility, but you've also said it's incredibly empowering. How have you maneuvered those waters?
I didn't always know who I was, and it was very tough being, raised in East Providence, Rhode Island, where I didn't grow up, on the reservation where, everybody's general idea is if you're Native American, Indigenous, you're on a reservation. I grew up in Little East Providence, Rhode Island, in Evergreen Projects, you know what I mean? And it was one of those things where just finding my footing is I'm not Cape Verdean or Black enough. I'm not Indigenous or Native enough. I look different. My sexuality, I wasn't familiar with the term two-spirit when I was young, but I grown to learn, and was something familiar to me. So at a young age, I was so busy trying to get and fit in a box that was already created, which, now I know that I'm in a lane of my own, which is it's not a bad thing. I thought these things were so bad. I thought my father left because of me. It was my fault. It was bad. And also what's really helped me is, number one, to really know where I come from. It's very empowering to be very, very proud of who I am, no matter what. And I was so busy trying to prove myself to everybody else, where it was really started with me. I believe what they said because that's what I told myself. Like I said, it goes beyond the physical, being really strong, but it all kind of entangles in one thing. So it's like when the last bell sounds and I'm done fighting, I'll continue to fight, and I can bring that energy into everything I do, into everyday life.
Last year, you defended your welterweight title, and then you spoke out about the Canadian residential horrors. Of course, it's been a very, very heavy, difficult time learning about Canadian history that a lot of us, never really learned about. What has the reception been for you, using your voice to talk about those residential horrors?
It's been eye-opening to so many people, especially amongst the boxing crowd that normally wouldn't even ever hear about it. And I get wait, what? Really?
Mm-hmm.
That happened here? I'm like, yes, the last school in the United States and Canada, don't quote me, but around 1998, that was like the last school that actually shut down between Canada and the US. And it happened in my lifetime. And just the history that both Canada and the US, or just Turtle Island in general, is built on. It's been tried to cover up for so long, and I'm a big person of truth. I like the ugly truth because it's the truth. You know what I mean? Is that so many things that's been covered up. So when we started seeing publicly, because there's no hiding anymore, all these remains of all these lost children. Number one, people never even knew about residential schools. So it was kind of a topic like, yeah, look at this statistic and look at how many thousands and thousands of children remains are finally being found. So then it kind of segued into, it's because of these residential schools. So the reception was the same thing with missing and murdered Indigenous women was, are you serious? Really? That happens, or that happened, or it's still a current thing. So I wasn't really worried about negative feedback, like you shouldn't mix politics or that with boxing, because I know it's a snub nose at that. And if you can't tell, I really don't care what people have to say, especially if I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I have a voice for the voiceless, where women, our children, our people are forgotten. And it's the very history and the very people that both of these nations were built on. So if they don't like it, they can get in that ring with me and then we'll settle it in there.
Oh, I just am so grateful to be chatting with you. You're using your voice, of course, inside the ring, outside of the ring. You're doing big things in acting. What kind of stories are you interested in telling in the acting and the artistry aspect of you?
Well, I let the creator take the reins a long time ago, because if I could, the things that I couldn't ever even imagine me doing is what's happening. And so there's obviously a bigger plan, and I know my purpose and I know I can handle it. So evidently right now I'm telling the dark stories because I can handle it. It's kind of one of those things, it's a learning curve for me where I get all the hard things, or, everybody has hardships, but I'm taking the lessons from them. And I now know that I'm capable of telling those hard stories, of creating that space. Right now, we're in such a sensitive time where we need to create that space for the stories to be told, especially residential school survivors and our elders, because for so long it was taboo. They couldn't talk about it. So now this is in the public eye. I feel it's our responsibility as the next generation to hold space for those stories.
You've said that you want to inspire people to ask questions, to create questions. So what questions are you hoping to inspire, and what answers are you hoping people find through those questions?
The only answer I'm aiming to inspire is the truth. I can't speak for every Indigenous person. We don't need an apology, just accountability. I think there's a difference between the two. Anybody can apologize, but is there meaning behind it? When you have to acknowledge that the truth, that's what I'm hoping to aspire. Just those answers are the truth. Find the truth and acknowledge it so we can move on and build together. We don't need to dwell on the past. We're never going to get over it, but the whole job for us in the part of healing is getting through it so we can move through it, not over it. You're not going to avoid it. So just have accountability.
Kali, this has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so, so much. And again, just means so much that you took the time to chat.
Thank you so much, guys, for reaching out. I really appreciate that. Anytime I have the time, I will make the time.